right, it is Sunday, and if it is Sunday, you definitely know that it is time for In Focus. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe, and of course, right here on the program, we usually have debates. We are also able to have analysis, and of course, on various burning issues and current affairs issues. Also on the program, like tonight, we're going to do our very first one-on-one. And of course, the person that we have on the program was the acting executive secretary of Kigali City in 2006. And of course, from 2007, he became the governor of the southern province. And between 2011 and 2016, he served as the mayor of Rwanda's capital city, that is Kigali. And he studied economics. And of course, today, he is the executive secretary of the National Unity and Reconciliation Commission. That tells you what we'll be talking about tonight. National unity and reconciliation. Join the conversation on how we can be able to foster this and how we can be able to fight all the elements that hinder national unity and reconciliation. We'll be reading some of your tweets in the course of the program. All you need to do is simply hashtag your tweets with the hashtag InFocusRW. Bona Fidele Ndayisaba, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
How, first of all, was the announcement that you've now been moved from the city of Kigali to now head the National Unity and Reconciliation Commission? Let's start there.
So thank you. Thank you for the talk. First of all, I was not moved from the city.
Yes, your term ended.
Yes, I completed my term of 5 years. And slightly before the end of the term, just at the end of the term, I was appointed by the cabinet to be the executive secretary of the National Unity and Reconciliation Commission. That is an appointment.
Yes.
It is not to be moved or not.
Right, but what was your reaction then? Did you feel like this is a demotion, this is a promotion? Did those things run into your mind? Let's not be diplomatic, just tell me the truth.
Absolutely. No, I was happy. First of all, to have such trust from the President of the Republic, because His Excellency, the President of the Republic, is the guarant of Rwandan unity. To be appointed by himself through the cabinet in the office responsible for unity and reconciliation of this country, that is a great responsibility. I took it as, of course, responsibility asking for delivery.
Right.
Yeah.
And you feel, talking of delivery, you delivered as the city mayor?
As a resident of Kigali, I think you can...
I should be able to judge you.
Absolutely.
You don't have personal judgment. You cannot judge yourself. You cannot sit back and look in the mirror and say, I have delivered.
It's not always easy. It's rather observers to tell you and beneficiaries.
Right.
And the beauty of serving as a mayor in local government, where you are connected to people, you are not just yourself leading.
Come on, Fidele. You can say it if you feel like you did a good job. There's no problem in patting yourself in the back and saying, I feel like, yes, I performed.
You lead with people. You lead with the population. This is the beauty of our administration now.
Right.
People-centered. Working with people, working for people, but with them. So, now it is on the other side to judge.
Not yourself.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying I performed and I feel like really I feel proud of what I did. Anyway, moving forward. You're now the executive secretary of this very great commission that has a very great responsibility of maintaining and sustaining, peace in the country, unity, and of course fostering reconciliation. Some people don't probably understand what your role is there, especially when it comes to, when it comes to the different institutions that we already hear talking about peace and national unity. What exactly is your mandate?
Yeah, the commission is responsible for, first of all, promoting unity among Rwandans, fostering reconciliation, because reconciliation is a process, and it's a long process. We have had a journey to be appreciated in Rwanda, but there is a lot to sustain. There is that responsibility of monitoring to make sure that everything happening in this country does not hinder the process of reconciliation and does not affect negatively unity of Rwandans. Taking measures to orient and give guidance to what people should do, because unit is first of all responsibility of everybody. Every Rwandan and every resident of this city is responsible for unity of this country, and all institutions have a role to play.
They have a role to play.
Yes, and
but
now
you have
the commission,
the overall role
absolutely,
of now monitoring this.
Absolutely.
And today, as
coordinating
we speak,
and also indicating what should be done to make sure that we preserve our unity.
Right. And usually your commission usually releases a barometer that actually gauges the state of affairs, the challenges and the progress made. And it is important for us to actually look at that in just a few minutes. And I'm sure at the control room, they'll be able to portray that on the screen also. The Rwanda Reconciliation Barometer for 2015. This happens after every 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And the next one will be coming in 2020?
Absolutely.
2020.
Yeah.
And if you look at the one for 2015, it seems to be giving a vote of confidence in the process of reconciliation and, of course, the process of unity. And it says, with strong consistency, empirical findings indicate that Rwanda is far ahead in the process of reconciliation. On average, it says that the findings indicate that the current status of reconciliation in Rwanda is at 92.5%.
Exactly.
Are you happy with this as the Executive Secretary?
It's really encouraging, and we have to appreciate the efforts done by the leadership of this country, because the governance, the leadership is key in all that. And even the barometer itself witnessed it. And the effort and the hard work of Rwandans, because this is not something we can take for granted. This is not something which is incidental. No. People worked for it. And the great leadership Rwandans are enjoying contributed a lot to that journey and to this remarkable milestone we are achieving now. We are really happy and proud as Rwandans to say that now we are enjoying a united country, a united nation, and a peaceful nation.
But it's at 92.5. Someone would be wondering, what about the remaining part of it?
7.5.
Yes, what do we do with them? What are they thinking? What are they saying? Why are they at, not among this 92.5?
Of course, that 7.25% is a wake-up call that a journey continues. There is still to do. That means we should not just sleep. There is a long journey completed, but ahead there is something to do. Confidently, Rwandans are proud to be a united, as I said, and a peaceful nation. And just set forward now working for sustainable development. And you see, since 94, after the liberation of this country, when the tragedy was stopped, the genocide ended, Rwandans took effort, energy from the tragedy. Rwanda took energy from the tragedy we had, and we spent a lot in rebuilding. First of all, ensuring security, because at that time it was difficult. It was a difficult moment, just after the genocide, after the liberation war. A lot of problems, a lot of priorities, and as His Excellency the President of the Republic said clearly some years ago, the vision was clear to stay together.
Right.
And that led a lot in the whole process in the first 10 years, which was given for securing the country, putting in place institutions and mechanisms to ensure security and the peace in the country, and justice, restorative justice, doing its work. You remember at that time we had number of people.
Right, but Fidele, not to downplay all that effort, but some people might be concerned to want to know what are these 7.5 thinking? Why are they not on board? How can they be brought on board so that we have 100%? Or can we even have 100%?
That is the target, and we should work for that. But saying that you have 100% all the time, that would be misleading, and we should not mislead ourselves. Challenges are there. And as it has been witnessed by the barometer, there are some remaining challenges we have. But reducing, of course, years and years. We have still some people who are looking themselves and looking others in ethnic lenses again. We have the genocide ideology, which is still occurring, reducing in terms of numbers, but still there. And there is there are some other connected problems to that, the genocide ideology. We have some people who are making the genocide ideology, for instance, as the basis of their political orientation, who are moving freely in some countries. That is a challenge we have. This is something which requires collective effort to make sure that you eliminate everything, while you are still having some people who enjoy liberty, freedom in some capitals of some countries, living freely and disseminating ideology of divisionism and
it poses
genocide.
a challenge to national unity and reconciliation.
Absolutely.
You said that if it's 100%, then it might not really reflect the true reality on the ground. It seems exaggerated, it seems abnormal. The critics of Rwanda mostly usually say that any reports that come out from Rwanda that paints a good picture like this 92.5% of these findings that says that on average the current status of reconciliation is at 92.5%. Some of your critics of this country have said these are cooked numbers just to impress the world and the donors of the country, and they question the credibility of these findings and the methodology and the people behind them. What would you tell them?
For this matter of the subject, it's simply we cannot mislead ourselves. This is the expression of the views and the experience of life of Rwandans. It is not just someone sitting there and doing a report. No, it is just putting together what Rwandans living in Rwanda are expressing and how Rwandans are showing their experience of life, their social cohesion, their how they feel secure. And this is in line with other reports and other findings and some international. For instance, when we talk about unity and reconciliation barometer,
Yes.
we consider different variables, and one of them is the security and the well-being of the country. Internationally, we have different reports from the World Bank, from the IMF, from other different organizations and known credible institutions, which actually are showing more than that. And of course, what we have as the barometer is the average of different things. Just taking that as an example, because security and well-being is impacting on unity and the reconciliation of citizens.
We'll come into that.
Absolutely. And the other indicator and the other variables also, and the indicators indicated there, they are checked with different other reports, but importantly, it is the expression of views of Rwandans.
So
when Rwandans are saying how they feel and how they live, who else can say differently?
Right, because they feel that, you're funded by government, no? To do this report?
The National Unity and Constitutional Commission, it's a government institution,
right.
Of course.
And do you have the autonomy to be able to point out and say this is going wrong? Because that is where the bone of contention is. And they feel you cannot bite the finger that feeds you. And so you would not be able to point out and say this is not going well.
Yeah, and our responsibility, of course, is to see what is on track and what is missing. So we can't mislead ourselves.
What is missing? What is missing, Fidele? What is missing right now?
Yes. As I said, we have still some challenges, meaning I have indicated 2, but there's another third one. We have still some wounds because of the tragic history, the dark history Rwandans have experienced. They have experienced such dark history of divisionism, and for a long time, almost a century. Remember, this country, since the colonial era, Rwanda entered in a divisionism, which culminated into a genocide ideology and to the genocide itself. So because of that, and the wound, psychological and even physical, they are still there. And this is another challenge, of course, which makes that in total, it is not yet easy. And remember, we are in the first generation. After a violence, the worst violence in the world, a genocide, killing more than 1 million of people in 100 days. This is unique in this world. So, and after just 23, 22 years, we are still in the same generation, which faced that. And it takes a process, a long process, the trauma to deal with that. It is not something you think you can imagine to conclude in just one generation. Take the Holocaust of the Nazi and Jew. They are still facing challenges right now.
So is it realistic then for Rwanda to say that all is well at 92.5% if the Jews are still facing this, as you say?
Of course, it depends on how people moved, how Rwanda and the Rwandans, how they moved in the aftermath of the genocide and the era of divisionism. Because the genocide is one thing, but things which affected negatively unity of Rwandans are more than the genocide ideology itself. Genocide ideology is the terrible one, but Rwandans during this century, and really a century, have lived in era of divisionism based on the so-called ethnic groups.
The tribes.
Yes, based on regionalism, based on...
physical appearance.
Absolutely. Based on religion. There is a time some religions here in this country were not able to express themselves freely. Those are the terrible moment we had in that period of dark history. So it takes, of course, time to overcome and to reach 92.5%. Of course, it witnessed that hard work of Rwandans themselves, the sacrifices of Rwandans themselves, and the leadership, as I said, Because the divisions in this country, we should not forget that it came from the leadership itself. Since the colonial rule, it was the leadership. The leadership teaching to people to hate each other.
Based on those differences that you mentioned earlier on.
Yes.
Fidele,
and forged one.
I want to ask you something, especially on the issue of ideology, because some people have even been asking throughout the day that why is it that we usually have more cases of genocide ideology during the commemoration period of the genocide against the Tutsis? You know, on other days or other periods of the year, you do not hear of people going to, you know, spoil the memorials or probably attacks of victims and all that. And what does this say about this journey of full reconciliation?
Sure. And first and foremost, I think it wouldn't be right to justify why people are having genocide ideology to date, because there's no reason to
but it's still there. That's this is the sad reality.
Yes. And this also tells that there's no reason to explain why people are expressing such ideology during an period of the year.
Do you have the right tools
and the commemoration
to fight this? I mean,
absolutely.
What exactly are
yes,
we
I'm saying there is no reason, but during the commemoration period, without any justification, of course, because people, they have what they need to live free of genocide ideology, because there's no longer people teaching that genocide ideology is a crime, it's punishable. People having that, disseminating that, they should know that it's a crime, and actually with a heavy punishment. People with that, they should know that they are killing themselves, because the genocide ideology is killing, they are killing their hearts themselves. They're not living in peace, because disseminating that, expressing that, it means you are doing that, hiding yourself, something you are doing in such conditions, which is not good. Why are you having that? But during the commemoration period, it's, of course, a special time where it is a time of remembrance. Those who have not yet achieved the level of repentance to accept that what they did is wrong. The wrongdoers who committed genocide and still in the era of denying that, because there are many, what is interesting, there are many who have achieved the level of repentance, which is really good, and who moved to the stage of apology. And the good thing is that Rwandans and victims, survivors of the genocide, are living with open heart to apologize. Those who are, of course, repenting themselves.
So let's talk about the tools, Fidele.
Yes.
How do we deal with this?
At least those who are still living that, with that, it is the time when people are moving in remembrance, it is the time it is hunting them.
It awakens them.
Yes, and they express the hate they still have. And as I said, really at this time, someone who is committing such suicidal act of genocide, because it is suicidal, you know that something is a crime. It is not related.
And you still go ahead and do it.
Yes. No, the tools they are. The first tool to fight against the genocide ideology, of course, is to denounce it. Whatever happening is denounced, it is detected, and it is punished, because it is a crime.
Denounce, detect, and punish.
Yes, but also keeping the trend of building resilience of Rwandans, especially youth, to have such critical thinking to protect themselves. Because we are working with a model of 3P and 3D. In this process of building our unit and fostering the reconciliation. First, we promote. We promote what is good. We promote unity. We preserve. We preserve what you have achieved. Such things which made 92.5% in the barometer. There are different variables in that. We preserve that. But we also protect, especially we protect youth. But there is another 3D.
Why don't you tell us about that other 3D when we come back from the break? Now, my directors are telling me it's time for us to take a short break. But before we take that particular break, we have feedback, tweets that have been coming through. It would be really important for us to just go through them. If we have them, you could just definitely splash them on the screen so that we can be able to read some of them out there. And of course, all we wanted to do is just keep those thoughts coming. Hashtag is InFocusRW. Do we have the tweets? Could you just let me know if we have the tweets? Yeah, there we go. We have some of the tweets there. We have Patient who says, I would like to know which approach the Commission is using in healing the psychological wounds. This is a very interesting question from Quizera Patient. Thank you so much. We have another one there from Adrian, which says, Adrian, which says, according to Reconciliation Barometer, 25.8% of Rwandans still harbor genocide ideology. Many people embraced unity and reconciliation. How can these people be educated like others? Do we have another one? Let's just sample some of those tweets that are coming up. We have another one from Habimana Fields, which says, progress has been made. One of them is most Rwandans identify themselves as Rwandans and not on what used to reinforce a divide and rule, and that is the identity card. Do we have any other one? Okay, we have from Patrick Pato, who says, Ndumunya Rwanda is not all about informing you that you are a Rwandan. Don't you know that you are a Rwandan? Do you need anybody to inform you that you are one? And I think this is one of the things that we'll be coming back to talk about Ndumunya Rwanda, all right? So keep those thoughts coming, hashtag InFocusRW, and of course I'll be reading them right here, and of course Fidele is here. He'll be also answering some of your questions. If you have them, keep them coming. We'll be back in just a short while. You stay with us.
Now that is the smell of a new day, new business ideas, new opportunities, and above all, a new chance to start over. Forget about the news. We want to talk about the stocks that are trading, what companies have been listed, and the exchange rate, and also the money matters, not just regionally, but also globally. Take a look. They are the right arm of every business world. The small-scale businesses, they contribute a lot to our economies, and yet they face new challenges every single day. Now, I come in to stop all that. Listen to them, find a common ground, and come up with a solution. And I also give you an insight into the opportunities in their business world.
Join us every Tuesday on Business Digest.
right, thank you so much for still being with us. It is In Focus, and my name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. And of course, we're here with none other than Fidele Ndayisaba, the Executive Secretary of the National Unity and Reconciliation Commission. It's a one-on-one edition tonight. Fidele, thank you so much for still being with us right here. We've got several questions that have been coming through. And of course, one of them is a very interesting one. It concerns the numbers, and one of them is asking, and this is Jean Bosco Ndaruhutse, who says, is the 92.5% including people with sleeping demons who are hiding their hatred? Are they known, and how? If yes, what percentage of this? Are you able to expatiate on that?
Yeah, people had
hidden hatred.
Yeah, hidden hatred. And
they come and you ask them a question, they say, oh yeah, yes, we are okay. And then probably they're deep in there.
Yeah, the 92.5% is for all Rwandans. So it's for all Rwandans. And the reason that it is not 100% is because of that. So, and it is Rwandans, they express what they see and they know. Those ones he's talking about,
yes.
As a Rwandan, he knows them. As Rwandans, they know them. This
so
is
they are known people. These are people.
Not saying that it's that person, whatever, but you know. But there are things you see in life, in normal life, because the barometer is just to show the experience of life of Rwandans, and they express it in their views, how they feel and how they see it. Whenever and anything is happening, they record that, they know that, and it is expressed in such findings.
So when someone tells you that all is well, and then they constitute the
there's another way to
90.5%.
There's another way.
It's important for us to understand this, because if these people are really known, for example, if we can know that 7.5% that are deniers and who feel like there's still no unity and stuff like that, then we can be able to know how to handle that situation. And this is probably why he's asking this question.
Yes. The 7.5% is still there. That means we don't have 100%. And it means Rwandans, they know that they are not yet at 100% of the reconciliation because of those other challenges and because of what they see in the society. It doesn't mean that it is because of that person necessarily.
Yeah.
And those known person also, they are there. And some of them, like those living with genocide ideology or disseminating it, there are some who are known and who are even arrested, prosecuted.
So these
it is part of that.
They're part of the 7.5%.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a bit about the Ndumunya Rwanda campaign. One of them said that you do not need someone to prefect you and tell you that you are Rwandan, or you should really think as a Rwandan and not as a person of a different ethnic community or stuff like that. Let's respond to that, and then
absolutely.
Yes.
But it's important for Rwandans to know and to be confident that they are Rwandans, because for years the Rwandan identity has been killed in the mind of Rwandans.
Yeah.
It has been replaced by other things for a long time. It has been replaced by regionalism, things like Muchiga, Nduga. It has been Munyenduga, Muchiga. It has been replaced by Mututsi, by Mutwa, by Hutu, by
and Ndumunya Rwanda sweeps away all that.
And it has been killed since the colonial era, when Rwandans were taught that they are not even Rwandans, they are foreigners in their own countries. Their origin is from outside Rwanda.
Yeah.
The reason why the starting point for Rwandans is to recover that, to recover what they have missed and what has been taken from themselves. The right, actually, it is what they deserve. The Rwandans, not just to tell they are Rwandans, they deserve to be Rwandans, they deserve to believe they are Rwandans, to feel Rwandans. And what is interesting is that in the same barometer, 97% of Rwandans expressed that now they are proud and they take pride of being being called Rwandans than something else. Don't you think there is a need of that? But Ndi Umunyarwanda is more than to be called Rwandan.
Right.
It's a way of living, it's a spirit, it's a philosophy, it's a witnessed, it has to be witnessed in the interaction of Rwandans, how Rwandans, they are expressing, how Rwandans, they are contributing, and how to their country, how Rwandans they feel belonging, they're belonging to their nation, and how their nation is taking care of them.
But there's some people who feel like this is not a philosophy, and they were arguing all through the day that this is actually not a philosophy. But I want to bring in a very critical feedback that I received specifically on this particular issue of Ndi Umunyarwanda, and this person was saying that he was really looking forward to this show, and he says that I understand today there is an identity, Ndi Umunyarwanda, but how about the existing of the identity Tutsi, which I think creates again the identity of Hutu, because where one is the other, one has to be the other. This is his explanation. So how are you addressing such issues where some people still cling on the one identity while others want to embrace the new one that is there, which is the only identity of Ndi Umunyarwanda? How do you deal with that? Someone wants to remain, oh yeah, me, I believe this is who we are. And here we are saying we are not, you know, tribe A, B, or C. We are all one Rwanda. How do you deal with that as a commission?
And first of all, it is not just to tell that, to say that, because it is the reality. Those who are still looking themselves and looking others in ethnic lessons, I said that is a challenge still there. But reducing, of course. They are still there. And it takes a process of eliminating that, of course. And how we are dealing with that, first of all, is that being called Tutsi or Hutu or whatever, in itself, it doesn't bring you anything. And you should know that you should not be. And you can't be victimized because of that.
By calling someone.
Yeah, and you can't be denied any rights because of that. Whoever still having that in mind can't refuse you any rights, being in the government system, even the private system. Living such life and enjoying equal rights, equal opportunities as Rwandans. It is one of the best way to deal with such remainings in the mind of people, because it was a time ethnic lenses in this country were used
to determine whether you'll get a job, whether you'll live in a certain place.
Now it's no longer there. So now, keeping that, for which reason? It is useless. Those who are still living with that, they are just being left behind. And looking at the right examples and looking at what is making them proud and the pride of them of being Rwandan and their dignity of being Rwandans rather than being called whatever is the best way to go. And Ndi Umunyarwanda actually is a solution. It's a remedy to all those frustrations, to all those wounds, to all those of kind of shame people have been suffering, Ndi Munyarwanda is the solution.
It is a solution, you say. Let's talk about the role of parents, because again, some people are saying we have some parents who are still bringing up their children, you know, still sticking to those former identities and saying this is how we used to live as Tutsis, this is how we used to live as Hutus, this is how we used to live as Watwa. So I want to still raise my child in the same norms, with the same way of life. How do we go about this?
First of all, that one will be losing his or her own time for nonsense, for useless approach. And that child who is being educated in another system and who is experiencing the reality and the truth is getting capacity and resilience to be able to change that and to refuse that. That is why we are actually putting more emphasis in the youth, in the young generation, because it's the future of the country, of course. But importantly, we need them to raise with such critical thinking and the capacity to refuse, to reject any divisionism which can come either from adult people, being parents or whoever, but also having that flow that what is being taught from those people who are still behind,
Yes, that they
living
reject
with that useless ideologies and way of thinking in mind. Definitely, the reality on the ground will help the growing generation to defeat that.
But how? The question is how, Fidele? How are you doing that? How are you following up on this youth? How are you actually working on that? What's your strategy?
There are different programs, and
Yes.
the first program is, of course, to make sure that Rwandans are having their equal opportunities, being in job, in education.
That's for everybody. Let's talk about the youth that you say are
and
your
now
main
for
target
youth,
now. Yes.
we have special programs. Apart from Itorero, there is other programs. Like now, in all schools, we have started a program of constructive debate, which aim to build such critical thinking in different topics, where they have flow to debate. They are free, open. Even if they have some confusion or whatever and bad ideologies and those misleading information they got from media, from other people, they expose that and it is corrected.
Yeah.
And through constructive debate with others, and they get informed, educated, and it coincides with what they see on the ground. And this is what makes the life, and this is what is building the capacity and the strength and the resilience on that generation. And of course, keeping also the programs of healing. There is a Twitter which was asking how we are dealing with healing and dealing with trauma as it was asked. It is a long process. It takes time, but we have different competent organization partners. We work together, very active in different sociotherapy programs on the ground, where people are engaged, survivors, those who committed genocide, relatives. They are engaged in different scientific approaches with experienced people with skills
who can be able to take them through
to help
the whole
them
process.
To move from one stage to another one. And it takes a process, but it is rewarding, of course.
It is rewarding.
Yeah.
Fidele, the other issue that is actually part of the process of reconciliation and unity and peace building is justice. And at the end of the day, you know, apart from asking for forgiveness from the perpetrators or those who have played a role in the atrocities of the genocide against the Tutsis is also justice. And part of it was, you know, sometimes it could even go to compensation for those who lost their, you know, properties and stuff like that. Just recently, the Catholic Church apologized or made a statement to that direction. The government, through the spokesperson and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, said, we take it as an apology because it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
President Kagame, during the commemoration,
a very positive
speech,
one, by the way.
yes, very positive,
and very helping in the process.
The president mentioned one thing when he was actually saying that, you know, for those who are ready to come and assist in nation building, they're free to come. And we are not interested in money, you know, because the lives of the over 1 million is not buyable by money. But let's get a bit realistic on the issues of compensation for the victims and for the survivors as well. How is the commission looking at this, for instance? Is that all that you want, like just an apology? This is in direct line with the Catholic Church's statement vis-a-vis compensation.
Yeah, that is, it can be a long debate, of course. But the important thing is not assets and whatever and material and whatever. First of all, to accept the wrong which has been done to Rwandans and to commit to look forward and support the effort in that direction, fighting against the divisionism and genocide ideology, contributing to that. That is a good step we need. Compensation and justice, there's a lot which has been done, of course. So
will you be pushing for any further?
Through the restorative justice, it has been done a lot. And I think for the moment, what is important is not to try to go to whoever the church you should compensate, whatever. And at the end, so the church has lost its own children. So, and as members of the church have contributed since long time, since Bishop Perodin teaching the genocide ideology and trying to do such organization of the ideology since the Parmehutu ruling party, and
so in other words,
time, and continuing up to now, and up to having people like priest in Nyanyi parish.
So in other words, what you're saying is it's not a big issue for now. This is something you are not really so interested in.
I think the important thing now is to contribute to now restoring the society, to contributing to building the social cohesion, contributing to reparation in terms of those wounds we have to work together, which requires collective efforts.
I'm being told we have only 2 minutes to go, and I'm going to ask you this: a very great scorecard, a very great picture in terms of this barometer, what it says. But the question is, what happened to peer-to-peer review, and what happened to learning lessons from each other and transferring the good deeds to other countries? Just next door, in Kenya and other countries, we are heading to election nearing periods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Why is it difficult for people to learn?
One of the responsibilities of the Commission is to work with similar organizations internationally in the journey of building the peace, because in Rwanda we need peace, but in Africa we need peace.
Yes.
Alone having peace,
but you say you're working with them,
people who are living in violence.
Yes.
It affects the humanity, and you are part of the
yes.
humanity.
But you're saying you're working with them, but just next door in Kenya, they still haven't been able to implement the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission's report.
Yeah, they are moving at their path, of course, and the good thing is that we are open, and what happened in Rwanda, we believe that humbly it should be a lesson
for others.